This morning, the Department of Defense may soon change to the Department of War.
Plus, it's going to be a very fall-like weekend here in southern Wisconsin. I'll have the full forecast coming up.
And tonight's Powerball is huge. We'll tell you how much cash could end up in your pocket. Well, good morning, and thanks for waking up with us this weekend. I'm Michelle Renee Quinn.
And I'm meteorologist Jacob Montesano. You're watching Weekend Mornings on Saturday, September 6th. And similar to last week when we were saying, it's the end of August, but it's going to feel a little bit more like October. That's going to be the case again this weekend.
And I'm looking forward to it. A little chilly, maybe a little sweater weather, and we're okay with that.
Yeah.
And I think you were saying it's kind of the football weather.
Oh, yeah, it's absolutely perfect football weather. Next weekend, when it'll be a bit warmer, not so much. I feel like it's football weather, is like that, 40s to 60s range. Obviously, some people would say it's even colder than that, but I think this weekend will be prime football weather and a big weekend in football here in Wisconsin as well. Let's take a look at the current radar. We are seeing mostly dry, actually completely dry conditions across the state. There were some showers up near Green Bay earlier, but those have dissipated. Now, we do have a very small chance of some isolated showers later in the day. We'll see partly sunny skies early, but then we'll see a little bit more cloud cover develop later in the day, leading into a few isolated showers, but a lot of the area shouldn't see much. And if you do see rain, it'll be very brief and very light, and then we'll see clear skies return for the overnight hours. Now, temperatures are on the cooler side this morning for sure, 40s for the most part, and they're only going to warm up into the lower 60s, so pretty easily below normal, where the normal high is supposed to be in the middle 70s. And on top of the cloud cover, we also will see a little bit of a breeze, so it's certainly going to feel like fall today. For you folks in La Crosse, a very similar forecast. Sunshine early, cloudy skies later. And for those of you attending the Badger football game, pretty good football weather. Can't completely rule out an isolated shower, but it's certainly not going to delay or postpone the game. I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see any rain at all, but we'll see partly to mostly cloudy skies, lower 60s to upper 50s. Like I said, just it's sweater weather, and it's pretty good football weather as a whole. But I'll continue tracking the rest of the weekend and show you our next solid chance of rain coming up a bit later.
All right, thanks, Jacob. We'll check back in shortly. Let's take a live look now at the White House, where President Trump signed an executive order yesterday to rebrand the Department of Defense. CBS News correspondent Wendy Gillette has the latest.
Thank you. It's an honor to sign this, and we will do that right now.
President Trump signed an executive order that jumpstarts the process of renaming the Department of Defense as the Department of War, its former name until 1949. Congress has to formally authorize any name change.
I think it sends a message of victory. I think it sends really a message of strength. We're very strong. We're much stronger than anyone would really understand.
The changes include signs that now call Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth the nation's Secretary of War.
The War Department is going to fight decisively, not endless conflicts. It's going to fight to win, not to lose. We're going to go on offense, not just on defense.
The 201st executive order, sir, this relates to hostages and wrongfully detained Americans.
President Trump topped 200 executive orders in his second term Friday, signing another one that creates a designation of state sponsor of wrongful detention for countries that take American hostages.
You take our people, now you will pay.
President Trump also revealed he will not attend this year's Group of 20 summit in South Africa, sending Vice President J.D. Vance in his place. He says next year's conference will be held at his golf resort in Miami.
I did about 8 press conferences in a row, day after day after day.
The president wrapped up his day hosting a dinner for members of Congress on the newly renovated patio in the Rose Garden, again raising a plan to send National Guard troops into other cities to combat crime, as he did in the nation's capital. Wendy Gillette, CBS News.
The Defense Department confirmed Venezuela has flown military aircraft over a U.S. Navy ship near South America for the second time in 2 days. President Trump said in the Oval Office, quote, "They're going to be in trouble if the country does so again." Now to Wall Street. We saw a lot of red with Friday's closing numbers. The Dow drops 220 points, the Nasdaq falls 7, and the S&P 500 is down 20.5. Now to more local news. Madison police say they've identified a suspect who attacked 2 men with a knife on State Street. Officers were called just after midnight Friday for reports of a potential stabbing. The suspect had left the scene before police arrived. A knife was recovered and no serious injuries have been reported. No other information on the suspect has been given out, but police are working to take them into custody. A Beloit man accused of forcing a woman into prostitution is going to trial. Charles Bell is charged with 21 felony and misdemeanor counts, including human trafficking and battery. He pleaded not guilty in court yesterday. A criminal complaint alleges Bell referred to himself as a pimp and forced a woman who he was living with to exchange sexual acts with men for cash. Police arrested Bell in January following an incident where he allegedly shot a man who had come to his home. His trial date has not yet been set. It's once again time to get out your lottery tickets. The Powerball jackpot has now grown to $1.8 billion. This makes it the second largest jackpot in U.S. lottery history. Now, the current jackpot has been rolling over ever since the last winner on May 31st. The jackpot has an estimated cash value of $826 million. And the next Powerball drawing is tonight. And if you're pumped about that jackpot, well, you're not alone. Despite the fact that the odds are definitely against you, the chance of winning the top prize are around 1 in 292.2 million. Clinical psychologists say that when the numbers rise into the billions, the reward center of the brain lights up, creating what's known as the what-if fantasy.
Immediately, you begin to imagine in great detail what would happen if you won the lottery. Maybe buying a home, buying presents for people, quitting your job.
Medical experts say it's completely normal to daydream about that island you'd buy with the winnings, but they caution that Powerball fever begins to be a problem when a player spends large amounts of money they don't have, or if that money is meant for something else important. Still ahead, we're telling you what's new at Lambeau Field.
First, I'll be back with a full look of your first warn forecast. This is Weekend Mornings. Keep it here.
And mornings.
Welcome back. Right now, this morning, the Ironman Triathlon is taking place in Madison. The half Ironman will begin. Actually, it already began at 7 o'clock this morning, so just over an hour ago, and it'll finish by 4:30 p.m. today. Now, the full Ironman will begin at 7 tomorrow morning and finish by midnight on Monday. Right now, Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard is closed to traffic. It will reopen by 2 p.m. on Monday. This is a look at the bike portion of the race. It goes outside of Madison, but will still impact traffic. Look for impacts on the right lane of John Nolan from East Lakeside Street by Olin Park to the Monona Terrace. Also on Olin Turville Court and East Lakeside Streets, and the Rimrock Road ramps from the Beltline. Today's run will have minimal traffic impact starting at Alliant Energy and moving along Lake Monona. Sunday's run will take place throughout the Capitol Square, Southwest Path, Camp Randall, and the UW campus. And today is National Hummingbird Day. The Henry Vilas Zoo and SOS Save Our Songbirds are collaborating to raise awareness for the dangers hummingbirds face. Both organizations are inviting you to come celebrate at Henry Vilas Zoo. The event runs from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the zoo's Flamingo Plaza. You can make a hummingbird mask, enjoy a free carousel or train ride, and get a free native houseplant. And if you're heading out at all today, especially to the zoo, I've brought special guest, meteorologist Jacob Montesano. What's it looking like today?
Well, like I mentioned earlier, it's going to be great sweater weather. You know, it's definitely going to be on the cooler side, but it's not going to be too cool. Now, let's take a look at the 3 things you need to know. Really, the whole weekend will be on the cooler side with mostly sunny skies, a little bit of cloud cover later today, but the first half of today and pretty much all tomorrow, a lot of sunshine's expected. 70s are going to return for Monday, and there's a lot of 70s in the forecast after this weekend. And there's also very little rainfall in the forecast as well. Now, let's take a look outside. This is our Queen Bee Radio Sky Cam from Platteville. Help me out. Do you see a cloud in the sky, Michelle, Renee? Because I don't. Very clear.
I don't see nothing.
Yeah, very clear skies right now, and this is going to be the story for the next few hours. But by the afternoon, we will see those clouds roll in. A small chance of an isolated shower, but mostly dry. Highs in the lower 60s, maybe even only upper 50s as you head off to the north. Now, the clouds will become The cloudy skies will become clear skies overnight, leading to very chilly lows, once again dropping into the lower 40s. Could even see a few isolated 30s out there. And then the clear skies will continue for much of tomorrow. Like I mentioned, a lot more sunshines in the forecast, and temperatures will be a few degrees warmer. Middle 60s are expected. Now, looking at the chance of rain, again, there is a very small chance later today, just in the form of very light showers, but a lot of the area won't see any rain at all. And if you do, it'll be very brief, with those clear skies returning overnight. And then our next chance of rain won't be until Monday night, but more likely during the day on Tuesday. But even this chance of rain likely not going to produce a whole lot. Now, there's expected to be a little bit more compared to today, but still just a few passing showers are in the forecast, and a lot of that will clear up by Wednesday. Maybe some lingering showers for some areas Wednesday, but by Wednesday afternoon, we're going to be dry, with the dry conditions continuing into next weekend. And looking at the overall rain chances, even the times we do have the chance of rain, it is pretty low. And if it does rain, probably not going to produce a lot of it. Now, as we continue beyond the next 7 days, the 8 to 14 day precipitation outlook does show drier than average conditions continuing into the middle of September. Now, because we saw so much rain the first half of August, we still do not have any drought conditions forming, but we've been very dry lately the last couple of weeks, and we're going to be dry for the next couple of weeks as well. So hopefully we don't see the drought conditions become too bad here in Wisconsin. Now, before I show you the 10-day forecast, let's take a look at your Packers game forecast. Green Bay is going to be very similar to Madison tomorrow. Plenty of sunshine, highs in the middle to lower 60s. Definitely a little bit chilly with some light winds, but for the most part, similar to the Badger game today, great football weather. In fact, tomorrow looks to be even better, as there's pretty much no chance of rain versus that very, very small chance today. Now, as I mentioned, there's a lot of 70s in the forecast. Maybe even a few 80s are going to return towards the middle and end of next week, and we're going to continue to be pretty dry with just a few small chances of rainfall here and there, a lot of sunshine, and by the time we get towards the middle and end of next week, it is going to be a lot warmer. So I have been saying for the last, couple of weeks, when we have been forecasting for these below normal temperatures, the warm air is going to return eventually, and it looks like that's going to happen towards the end of next week.
All right, well, I have my sweaters out for this weekend, and we've got great game day weather, and then next week we get a little slice of summer back. Thank you, Jacob. Well, cheeseheads at Lambeau Field will have the chance to enjoy more than just the weather. There's some new food this season at the concession stand. There's plenty to choose from, like the loaded big pretzel with sharp cheddar cheese sauce, crumbled brats, fried sauerkraut, beer cheese, mustard sauce, and beer mustard. Now, the general manager of Delaware North at Lambeau Field says most of their feedback has been positive, especially on changes made with grab-and-go offerings.
Get back before halftime's over, and if they have to run up and get a Coke or a beer or a brat real quick, they can do that under minutes, where it used to be much longer.
But for many fans, cost is top of mind. This year, a 16-ounce domestic beer will be $10.99. That's a 20-cent increase from last season. And a regular hot dog will cost you $7.49, a 50-cent jump. Still ahead on weekend mornings, we're getting a sneak peek of MTV's Video Music Awards.
That's ahead in your entertainment news, but before we head to break, we've got a birthday to celebrate. Today, Hank is 3. Happy birthday, Hank.
Yes, happy birthday from your weekend morning team. We're back in a bit. Keep it here.
Welcome back. We've been very cool the last couple of weeks, especially compared to normal. And take a look at this. Every single day over the past 2 weeks, with the exception of Tuesday, we've been below normal. And in Tuesday's case, the high was exactly the normal. So near to below normal temperatures each of the last 14 days. And I believe that would extend further if the graphic did go beyond just the past 2 weeks. And that's going to continue for this weekend. But it's not for next week, at least for all of next week. By Wednesday, we're going to be in the middle 70s. Then we're going to be in the upper 70s for the weekend, possibly some lower 80s. And looking just beyond the 10-day forecast, the 8 to 14-day temperature outlook suggests those above normal temperatures are going to continue. So this warm up, it's definitely happening. It's going to be fall like this weekend, but towards the middle and end of next week, it's going to feel a little bit more like summer again.
And I'll take it. I'll just take a little bit of summer one more time before it gets cold.
I'll take this weekend weather, but I won't spoil everyone's party. So.
There we go. Thanks, Jacob. Well, in this weekend's Health Watch, new CDC data says Americans aren't eating enough seafood. Dietary guidelines suggest we should eat 2 servings of seafood a week for nutrients like protein, omega-3 fatty acids, calcium, and vitamin D. But the CDC found only 7% of children eat 2 servings of seafood a week, and only about a quarter of adults do. Families with higher incomes tended to consume more seafood. And some sugar substitutes could be linked to faster cognitive decline. A study in the journal Neurology finds that people who consume high amounts of 7 popular artificial sweeteners have a faster decline in their thinking and memory skills. These sweeteners are often found in ultra-processed food like flavored water, soda, energy drinks, yogurt, and desserts, all marketed as low-calorie. And in your weekend entertainment, music's biggest stars are getting ready for MTV's Video Music Awards tomorrow evening. Now, for the first time ever, the iconic show will be live on air on CBS right here, in addition to MTV and Paramount Plus. Nick Zachevic has the preview of what you can expect.
The stage is set for a night to remember. Hip-hop legend LL Cool J is hosting this year's MTV Video Music Awards. He says the show, airing on CBS for the first time, promises to bridge genres and generations.
You'll be hearing the new things that, kids have been listening to in the backseat on the headphones that you weren't exposed to, and the vice versa. The kids will be able to listen to the stuff that, mom and dad have been turning up, that they've been begging them to turn down.
With performances by Jelly Roll, Post Malone, Sabrina Carpenter, and more, the main stage will spotlight some of the biggest names in music.
I think the fans come away as the winners because they get exposed to all of the newest cool music and visuals and artists, and all of the iconic music and iconic visuals and artists.
Lady Gaga leads the nominations with 12, including Artist of the Year. The night will also mark new milestones. Ricky Martin will be honored with the inaugural Latin Icon Award, and hip-hop icon Busta Rhymes will take home the first ever Rock the Bells Visionary Award.
To be able to give Busta Rhymes MTV VMA's Rock the Bells Visionary Award, that's really amazing. To be in the game so long that you're not only receiving awards, but now you're giving awards, is an amazing feeling.
Another highly anticipated moment, Mariah Carey returning to the VMA stage for the first time in 20 years. The best-selling female artist of all time is not only picking up the prestigious Video Vanguard Award, she's on tap to wow viewers with a career-spanning medley of her biggest hits. Nick Zachevic, CBS News, Los Angeles.
I'm sure my mom's going to be watching that. She is the biggest Mariah Carey fan in the world, so shout out to you, Mom. Honestly, I do enjoy some of Mariah Carey's music because obviously, it was on in my house a lot because my mom was a big fan, and I got some of those tunes still stuck in my head.
And they said it was a generational medley, so I am looking forward to
That is going to be
this.
interesting. I'm curious what she's going to do.
Yeah, because my mom was always bumping music in the car when we're cleaning. It didn't matter. Music was always playing.
Yeah.
So it is fun, and they are very iconic videos, and it's good to look back and then also see all the new people like Sabrina Carpenter and. Well, I think she's one of the only really new ones.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. There's probably a few other new ones in there.
Yeah, but you guys can tune in
Lady
tomorrow
Gaga,
night.
she's not new anymore.
Oh
so.
yeah, no, she's not new. I was dancing to Lady Gaga and making music videos when I was a kid.
Wow.
But before we head to break, here's a look at last night's winning numbers.
Don't go anywhere. More news is next. Stick with us. This is Weekend Mornings.
This morning, Sun Prairie West has a new principal after the former dean is being charged with child sex crimes. Parent reactions to how the district informed them.
And if you're heading outside, it's going to be a chilly weekend. I'll have the full forecast coming up.
Plus, it's tailgating time. We're getting you ready for this weekend's big games. Hello, good morning, and thanks for joining us. I'm your Weekend Morning anchor, Michelle Renee Quinn.
And I'm meteorologist Jacob Montesano. Today is Saturday, September 6th, and you're watching Weekend Morning. It's going to be another fall-like weekend, but for those of you that, want one last taste of summer, there is some pretty warm temperatures in the forecast.
Thank you. I know you're talking for me and everybody
Yeah.
like me out there. All right, show us the radar.
Yeah, today we are going to see mostly dry conditions, not seeing anything on the radar right now. Could see a few light showers later in the day, but for the most part, it is going to be a pretty quiet, but as I mentioned, a pretty chilly day. Now let's first take a look at that small chance of rain. We'll see partly sunny skies early with some cloudier skies developing in the afternoon and evening, leading to a very small chance of isolated showers. Most of the area won't see any rain, and those that do will see it very briefly. So for the most part, not going to be a big issue with clear skies returning overnight. Now looking at the current temperatures, they're mostly in the 40s across the board, but we are going to see those temperatures warming up to the lower 60s, which is pretty easily below normal for this time of the year. And on top of the cloudy skies, we also will see a little bit of a breeze in the afternoon, so it's certainly going to feel chilly today. La Crosse will have a very similar forecast, sunny skies early with those clouds developing later in the day. Now, despite the fact that it's chilly, I feel like it's pretty good football weather. Here's a look at the Badger football game forecast. We are going to see partly to mostly cloudy skies, a little bit breezy with that very small shower chance, but any rain that does fall will certainly not impact the game in terms of it being delayed or postponed. But don't be surprised if you do see a few raindrops. Otherwise, pretty good Badger football game forecast. As I mentioned, it is going to warm up for next week, so I'll talk more in detail about that coming up a bit later.
All right, Jacob, a 63-degree kickoff sounds good to me. Thank you so much. We'll check back in shortly. And a quick heads up, if you do plan to attend today's Badger football game, the theme for the game against Middle Tennessee is a whiteout. So wear your brightest white clothing, and fans who wear white and arrive early will have the chance to win a free Bucky Badger white bucket hat. Today marks the first time the Badgers will play against the Middle Tennessee Blue Raiders. Now to our top stories. Parents are reacting to the new leadership change in Sun Prairie School District. Edward Ford is the new acting principal of Sun Prairie West High School. The school district sent this email to parents announcing the leadership change with no mention of West's former principal. Some parents say the move continues a lack of transparency.
Typical of the district. Something happens and it gets brushed under the rug, and they try to mask as much as they can without transparency.
All of this is happening as Sun Prairie West former Dean of Students Robert Gilkey Missengeyer faces felony charges for having inappropriate sexual relationships with students on campus. He is expected back in court next month. In more local news this morning, Madison police are also looking for a group of men they say attacked someone, knocking him unconscious. Take a look at this attack. The victim and his friends got into an argument with the suspects on State Street, and later in the night, the group of suspects approached the man on Francis Street. Another argument started, and as the man turned to walk into a business, he was reportedly punched on the side of the head, knocking him unconscious. If you have any information, please call Madison Police. And millions of football fans are gearing up for one of the sport's most cherished traditions, tailgating. Whether that's here at Camp Randall or up in Green Bay, it's important to remember fire hazards when it comes to ensuring you don't burn down your tent this tailgating season. So AAA recommends positioning your grill away from vehicles, tents, and flammable gear. Keep a fire extinguisher within arm's reach, not just for emergencies, but as a proactive tool to cool coals or stop flare-ups before they spread. Never leave the grill unattended. It's important to fully extinguish all flames and coals and let everything cool completely. Hot grills, coals, and grease trays should be left to cool in a safe and open area, never under or near vehicles. It's also extremely important to be alcohol aware at tailgates. Nearly a third of all U.S. traffic fatalities involve alcohol impaired drivers. Designate a sober driver, ensure water is available as well as non-alcoholic beverages to stay hydrated, and if a guest overindulges, help arrange a safe ride home for them. And for those in the backyard patio TV tailgaters, tomorrow the Packers home opener is airing right here on CBS. Kickoff for that game is set for Sunday at 3:25 p.m. And don't forget, you can sign up for our newsletter from Packers expert Jason Wilde on channel3000.com. Looking ahead now, News 3 Now's 40th annual Coats for Kids Winter Coat Drive kicks off on Monday with an all-day Pack the Truck event. The Boys and Girls Clubs of Dane County will park a van outside Clinky Cleaners on Monona Drive from 6 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. for donations. You can donate kids and adults winter coats, jackets, and accessories. And this year, there is a need for infant, toddler, and larger teen sizes. So after Monday, you can drop off donations at any Madison area Clinky Cleaners through October 4th. And now to one of my favorite parts of the morning.
Sharing a motivational quote with you. Today it is from Ray Dalio.
And he says the quality of your life ultimately depends on the quality of your decisions.
I feel like this kind of really feeds into last week's quote, which was sort of about, you can't change the past, but you can change the future. Your decisions are what are the things that will drive those futures. So obviously, everyone make good decisions out there.
Yes, before I always left the house, my mom would always say, make good choices. So here you go, make good choices and make good decisions this weekend, you guys. Keep it here. Next, sports director Andrew Banstra has all the things you need to know about high school sports. Football, to be specific.
You're watching Weekend Mornings.
Before the Badgers and Packers kick off this weekend, high school football kicked off their third week of action last night. Here's Andrew Banstra with week 3 of the final drive.
Welcome into week 3 of the high school football season. I'm Andrew Banstra, and this is the final drive. Let's get into it. Last season, Madison Memorial lost just 2 games all year. This year, they started 0-2. They look to reclaim some of that magic tonight, looking to beat Middleton for the 2nd straight year. We pick things up in the 3rd quarter, and the Cardinals already nursing a 14-point lead. But the Spartans, they had other plans. Blake Adams hands it off to Manny Lopez, and you can forget about it. Lopez Darden breaks a pair of tackles and finds the end zone, cutting into that Cardinal lead. 14-7 the score, but Middleton, they just always seem to have an answer. Check out that snag there. Joey Passaglia drops back a bomb and lands it into his man's hands, right into the breadbasket. We give you the final score here as Middleton comes out victorious, handing the Spartans their 3rd loss, 35-13, the final score. For my money, it is hard to compare to a good old-fashioned crosstown rivalry. 2 teams that may have stumbled out of the gate, but you can bet everything that they'll bring everything they've got into this one. Madison East versus Madison West, and what more can you ask for? We pick things up in the 3rd, and it turns out the Pergolders could have asked for a whole lot more. Michael Sumian completes a touchdown pass, finding his man, and that would be just about all the Regents need to lock it up. East was able to eke their way to a little bit of defense, but man, what a night for Madison West as they beat them by 7 scores, about 49-0, the final from Lucier Stadium. We turn now to some other scores from around the area, checking out what Wanakee was able to do, and what a game this was. Monona Grove and the Silver Eagles tried to eke their way back into a win, 14-13. The score in this one, it was an incredible game, as we'll come right back into those scores in a moment. What a game it was for Wanakee, who wins 14-13 in overtime. It is called the final drive, but for a good reason, and we're going to jump right into this game right here, where a fantastic matchup between Sun Prairie East and Oregon. Oregon, what a season they've had this year. It's been fantastic, and what a way to get things started. If you need to get something done, if you're the Cardinals, give it to Brady Kaufman, one of the best players in the entire state. He's rushing for that Sun Prairie rushing record. He got into the end zone, but Oregon would pounce right back there at the bank of Sun Prairie Stadium. It wouldn't be enough, though. The final score in this one, Sun Prairie East and the Cardinals, they take home the victory. 21-9 is the score. Like I said, it's called the final drive for a reason, because you've got to cruise just a little bit before we get to our game of the week. And our game of the week this week, well, it was an absolute no-brainer. Two of the absolute heavyweights in our area, Lodi and Columbus, getting after it. Two playoff teams from last season, and somebody would be handed their first loss of the season this evening. Peyton Powers, the quarterback for Columbus, he doesn't need his power here. He's got the speed, zips and zags his way past Lodi defenders, giving them such an early lead that their ticket takers, Carol and Jane, a little shout out there, just couldn't believe it. And later it was more Cardinals. This time Powers uses that powerful arm, pumping one downfield, and finds his guy Jordan Mowbray, who moves the chains. Blake Carthew would end up getting it done on the ground. What a rush from him, and what a game it was for Columbus, and a much anticipated matchup. The Cardinals cruise to an easy victory. 42-7 is your final score. Down to Darlington, where some things just seem to never change. The Cardinals, they come out to play every single year, but their undefeated season came to a turning point tonight when they hosted Mineral Point, a Pointer squad that would have their own point to prove. But as always, Darlington does not mess around, getting it done through the air, handing it off, make that on the ground, handing it off to Ryder Fitzsimmons, who stuffs it right up the gut for the early lead. And then later, the Birds, they get it done through the air this time. Who else but Zeke Zuberbuehler? How many times have we said Zeke's name over the last few years? He zips a swing pass for his man Callum Christ, who comes away with it. Darlington gets the job done in this one, and they leave no doubt about it. 56-0 is the final score. Down to Division 6, where Christmas came early. Cambridge and Poynette is about as good of a Week 3 matchup as you could ask for. The Blue Jays got the best of this matchup last year, and the Pumas looking for their payback. Another pair of undefeated squads in Poynette. They came out with that defense early, pouncing with it. Tied at 7 apiece in the third, and they were hungry. And what else could quench your hunger but some sack lunch? How about your man, number 3, Will Frieden, with the sack, and later there was more where that came from. What's better than a big man touchdown? For my money, absolutely nothing. Jack Nels nails the quarterback. It bounces off his teammate, and the big man comes away with it and finds himself in the end zone. But that big playability, well, it would be Poynette's last points of the game. The Blue Jays would score 14 unanswered, and Cambridge takes home the win, and they stay undefeated. 21-14 is your final score. And this may be your last point of the night, or our last game of the night here in the final drive, but it's one you don't want to miss. Highland and Belmont are both undefeated, winning their first 2 games of the season by a combined 162 points. But something had to give in Belmont, and what a game this was. One thing was for certain, defense was not going to be the star of this one. Early on, Belmont with the ball, and Wyatt Temperley put some touch on it, tossing it up for his man, Cody Kletka, who comes out on top, giving the Braves an early lead. And later, Highland says, it's high time we score one of our own. Caden Washa wafts a 50-50 ball. Who's going to come away with it? Well, Highland is. What a snag there. What an incredible game this was. But ultimately, Belmont would come out on top, 42-16, the final score. We'll be right back with some more sports.
And after that, I'll be back with your full weekend forecast. Stick with us on Weekend Mornings.
The road to 2-0 starts tomorrow for Wisconsin football. What we saw in Week 1 was partially what we were promised. Their shutout win over Miami of Ohio looked more like Wisconsin football compared to what we're used to seeing in the days past. Danny O'Neill, who came in for the injured Billy Edwards Jr., will be back under center tomorrow against Middle Tennessee State. He's been dreaming of an opportunity like this his whole life, and the quarterback wants to prove himself right.
I've been told I can't do a lot of things in my life, and just being able to prove people wrong, that's just the type of guy I am. So I've been told no, I've been told I don't have a strong enough arm, I'm not big enough, I'm not fast enough. So just being able to go out there and prove myself right, more so than proving other people wrong, is a big thing. And it's something that I just carry that chip with me every single every single day.
And of course, we're going to look at our score predictions. We did that last week. We're going to do it again today. Actually, why don't we just skip over that? I'll just tell you exactly what we assumed would happen. We'll come back out on camera here and just tell you ourselves before we get into these Brewer highlights that you're waiting for. Eric Franke and Sarah Carlson, they both predict that the Badgers will win tomorrow 31-7. As for Alex Harrington, he thinks the offense is going to be the same, but the defense just a touch different. 31-3 is his score prediction. As for me, I think there's going to be a little bit more offense against a struggling Middle Tennessee State team. My score prediction, 41 for the Badgers, 13 for the Blue Raiders. We'll see who's right, but either way, it sounds like we are Badgers across the board. Now to the Brewers, and it's been a while since I've mentioned this team, the Crew, they have the best record in baseball by a full 4 games. Playing the Pirates tonight out in Pittsburgh, and William Contreras gets the party started early. What's going on over there in left field? Nobody knows where the ball is, but Bryce Durang doesn't care. He's just running 90 feet home and giving the Brewers a 1-0 lead. It would be the same cushion when we skipped ahead in the game, except this time Bryce Durang at the dish. In the 8th, leading 3-2, and he rips one to the left side through that 5.5 hole, and the Crew go on to win it by a final score of 5-2. To the volleyball court, Wisconsin trying to stack together back-to-back sweeps, and this would be a good way to get it started. Natalie Wardlow, she had herself an evening against Chicago State, gets the job done there, and later it's Alicia Andrews slamming it down on Chicago State, and the Badgers were not to be messed with this evening, and really, when are they? What an absolute contest by Bucky, who take it in a sweep, 3-0, the final score. That's it for sports.
Good morning, everybody. Here's a look at the 3 things you need to know. Sunny but chilly this weekend with 70s returning for next week, but beyond or really this weekend and next week, we're not going to be seeing much rainfall. Now, taking a look outside, this is the live view from our Queen Bee Radio Sky Cam from Platteville, showing basically completely clear skies. And that's going to be the case for the first half of the day, but then clouds are going to roll in later. We are going to see highs only in the middle to lower 60s. And on top of the cloud cover, we'll see some breezy weather, not too bad, but it will definitely feel like fall today. And as we head into the overnight hours, those cloudy skies will become clear skies, and we're going to see some pretty chilly lows dropping all the way into the lower 40s, maybe even some upper 30s out there. Now, we're going to continue to see clear skies for Sunday with temperatures a few degrees warmer, highs in the middle 60s. So tomorrow does look to be the better of 2 days. But beyond just this weekend, we are going to see some warmer temperatures. Now, as far as rainfall goes, very small chance of an isolated shower today, but most of the area should be dry. We have another chance of rain for Tuesday, but again, we're not expecting much, and really beyond, even after Tuesday, not really going to see much in terms of rainfall, and the temperatures will be very comfortable during this time as well. Here's a look at the high temperature trend. Lower 70s for Monday, Tuesday, then middle 70s for the rest of next week, maybe upper 70s as we head towards next weekend, potentially some lower 80s for a few locations, pretty easily above the normal if those temperatures are what indeed happen. And looking at the temperature forecast beyond the next 10 days, it looks like our area will remain above normal. So we've had a lot of below normal temperatures lately, but that trend is certainly going to change. Now, before I show you the full 10-day forecast, here's a look at your Packers game forecast. Very similar to southern Wisconsin tomorrow. We're going to see sunny skies, but some chilly temperatures. The good news is that there's going to be pretty much no chance of rain, and overall, this is very good football weather with 60s and upper 50s throughout the game. And then next weekend's a little bit not like football weather, but certainly warmer. Lower 80s for some, especially further northwest for you folks in La Crosse. Madison, right now we expect to see it stay in the 70s, but obviously that could change. In general, though, it is going to...
Welcome back. Ahead of the Badger game, our team is sharing our predictions, starting with weekday mornings. Everyone is manifesting. Everyone's manifesting a Badger win. Anchors Kyrian Lee, Chris Stanford, and meteorologist Savannah Brito all predict Badger defense, allowing no more than 10 points slipping past and onto the board.
And Chris predicts a Badger win of 45-10. Kyrion 28-10. Savannah 21-10. And Josh Sprider right in between them, predicting 35-14.
Now, my prediction is that the Badger defense will continue last week's stride, so I'm saying 24-7 because I really don't think they're letting MTS get more than a touchdown, an extra point. But you...
I said 31-3, and I'll be honest, I simply said this because that was the point spread. I have no idea anyone on Middle Tennessee. Like, I have no clue about them, so I just kind of went with the point spread, and I didn't realize that I actually unintentionally picked the exact same score as Alex, which is very funny. You know, we're in the same department. We did not share information, but very, very funny how it ended up that way. But yeah, my pick is purely based on the fact that Wisconsin was a 28-point favorite, so like I said, I don't know Middle Tennessee, so I just picked a similar spread.
We'll look at that tomorrow morning, and we'll see how close we were. And thank you guys for watching Weekend Mornings. Coming up next is Mission Unstoppable. Our next newscast is coming up at 6 p.m. Find us streaming always on Channel 3000+.